languages are a skill. And so when you learn a new language,
how important it is for foreigners to come to Europe and learn one European languages, which doesn't mean that Hindi as a language doesn't have any value. I think it's a beautiful language, and learning Hindi helped me learn German better.
I mean, religions are very tricky in a sense, and it's all about what religion speaks the truth more.
Solution. Maybe I can imagine all the companies who are hiring people in the south of India from the north. They can have like a 1 month or 2 month, once an hour every week, a course in the local language. And
for me, the most fascinating thing is the fact that I'm
intolerant. If you don't speak my tongue, you're not good. Right, Aitor, thank you for coming to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Avi.
I really admire the fact that you speak 6 different languages. You are a polyglot. And I think it's interesting to talk about languages with you, touching a bit upon how important it is for foreigners to come to Europe and at least learn one European languages, but just overall understand the importance of languages and how it can lead to so much conflict in India, which we have north-south conflict, or be in Spain where we have a lot of, Catalonia and all of that political thing going on as well. But maybe we can start with understanding why does language play such a big role in shaping one's identity?
Wow, that's such a big question, Navi. I think for myself, languages are a skill. And so when you learn a new language, you open up a new dimension to another life. So for example, I feel just better when I speak English. I feel really, really cool when I'm able to maintain a short conversation in German, just because it's hard. Language learning is super hard. And it's also very rewarding at the very end because it connects you to different people. No?
But you would say that all languages are skills, because the first language, which we get from our parents, you don't learn off your first language, you receive your first language, sort of.
Sure.
That's the first medium which helps you interact with the world. So if my first language is Hindi, Hindi will always have a very special place in my heart.
Sure.
And then all the other languages I acquire, I think I would care more if Hindi as a language was in danger versus if, Spanish or German as a language was not being spoken that much. I mean, do you think that languages are just there to be there as a skill? Because if that was the case, then there would not be so much conflict happening around languages.
Like, what you're saying is that Hindi is more than a skill? What you're saying is that Hindi for you is, of course, a treasure in some sense, and you don't see it in a very utilitarian way? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because Hindi is more of an emotional language, right? Like any first language is emotional language. That's the language in which you first spoke to your mom or your parents. And I'm sure, like for you, Spanish is your first language, and
correct.
It's more of an emotional. It might be more of an emotional language for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a big part. Mother tongues in general are a big part of who we are, but they can also be a skill. I mean, we don't have to look at everything as a skill, right? It's just good to oh my gosh, sorry. What I mean is, I feel like in many ways, people now see the world of like, is this useful to me or is this not useful to me? Is this a skill or this is not a skill? I didn't mean it that way. For me, languages open up doors, and you never know which door a new language is going to open for you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. But why should we learn more languages? Why should anybody go out of their way and instead of watching a cool movie on Netflix, learn a new what was your motivation behind it?
In my case, I learned languages. I learned English because I really wanted to know how Harry Potter finished. So the fifth or sixth book would be published in English, and I didn't want to wait another year for it to be published in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I said I just couldn't wait. So in a sense, it was a fun way to learn English. Why should people learn a language instead of the movies? I mean, it's not necessary, but it will open up a new world of unexpected possibilities for you. So, for example, learning German for both of us has opened up, I guess, a world of job opportunities, right? At first, when you start learning a language, you just do it for fun sometimes, most of the time, but then life happens, right? So in your case, how did you learn the languages that you speak?
So I speak English, Hindi, German, and learning French now. I avoided learning German for a very long time because in my head I always thought I'm not good with languages, to be honest. Even Hindi was a struggle, even English was a struggle for me, and somehow I was like, oh, I am not a language because some people are good at learning languages, some people are good at mathematics, and I thought I was more of a mathematics kind of a person. Then I moved to Germany, which was a mistake. If I knew if I can't learn languages quickly, I should not move to Germany, I guess. But anyway, uninformed decisions and delusion that, oh, everybody speaks English in Germany.
Did you move to Berlin directly?
Yeah, I moved to Berlin for 6 months, but it was after only I realized that if I truly want to be integrated in this economy and really want to like earn money and make genuine connections and live a better life than just an average life, I need German,
Okay.
And that realization sparked in me actually like last year. I was not happy with my job and I was like, okay, what else can I do? And I found like the niche of what else I can do was so limited because I only spoke English or I did not speak German fluently. And that was a good motivator for me to take up the language seriously. But you're right, like at some point when you speak, it's like maths. You start doing maths and you're very bad at it, so you don't like doing it.
Right.
But once you see progress, you enjoy doing math a bit more.
Right.
So it's sort of like that, I guess. French for me is because my fiance is French, and it's like an act of love for her and her family. That hey, like people say, like people can give you gifts when they love you, or they do, they can do all sorts of things. But acquiring a skill just so I can communicate with her family and at some point speak with her in her mother tongue is, I think, a very beautiful gift to give somebody. She's learning my, she's also doing Hindi as well. So she's
Really?
Hindi as well.
Is Hindi on Duolingo? I think it is.
Hindi is on Duolingo. Not very good though, because Hindi, I think it's easier to speak Hindi than to read Hindi.
Yeah, makes sense because you have a different alphabet, right?
We have a different alphabet. So she's learning Hindi as well, and I think we plan to settle down sometime maybe in Switzerland, the French speaking part over there, or maybe in France, for example. So knowing French would also help over there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's why I always ask myself, like, because I think love plays a very big part in learning languages. I remember when I was dating a girl who spoke Bangla, which is the language in India. I was trying to learn a bit Bangla as well, just to get attention a bit and stuff. So I have a friend also who learned German because he had a German girlfriend, and she didn't speak English that much, so they could only speak in German. And now he is at C1, C2 level of German.
Of course, I mean the best place to learn a language is on the bed. That's what
the best place to learn language is
on the bed. Yeah.
On the bed, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a big motivator to learn languages. Yeah. So you're learning Mandarin as well, nah? Chinese.
Yeah, I just started learning Mandarin as a hobby, and it's quite a challenge. Also very rewarding because at first it's just fun, I really enjoy the beginning of the first part of learning a language, because at first you listen to the language and it just sounds Greek, it just sounds Chinese to you, it sounds so weird. But then slowly little by little, you start detecting a word that you understand, and the following week you get two other words, and slowly you start grasping how the language works. And nowadays it's just so much easier to learn a language through vlogs, for example, like this one. There are many opportunities to learn with subtitles, for example, on YouTube, which is just a fun way of doing it. And that's what I really enjoy watching, for example, very easy Q&As in Chinese. It's just...
But why did you pick Chinese? Was it like a random decision, or did you fall in love with a Chinese girl? Or
I did not fall in love with a Chinese girl. I didn't, but I think I've always been curious, and Chinese, I guess, has always been regarded as the most difficult language to learn. Which, I mean, there are. The thing with Chinese is that you have two languages at the same time. The written one has nothing to do with the oral. It's like learning the double, right? Because it's not just an alphabet, it's 3,000, 5,000 alphabets, right? Characters. I think I picked it because I believe that languages are a key of a door that's still not there, but someday will appear in front of you.
Languages are a key to a door that's still not there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a skill for which at first, I mean, you don't know what doors will open to you with that language. That's the way I see it. I am just learning for the fun of it because it's a big challenge, because it is fun. At first, I did not really like the way it sounded, but the more you learn a language, the more you appreciate all the subtleties, all the richness, all the flavor of a language.
That's a very good way to put it. Okay. But if language is such an inclusive thing, if we both speak the same language, then we understand each other better. Why does it then start becoming a reason for conflict?
Because the problem is that languages are not just linguistic. A language is part of who you are, part of who I am. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of nationalism and political motives around language. Language are being used by politicians to create wars, to create division. And I say that unfortunately because a language is something, like you say, that unites us, that makes us more connected, more human. But it's a tool, it's a skill that can be used for the evil too, not just for the good.
Are you Spanish because you speak Spanish, or do you speak Spanish because you're from Spain?
Well, I can tell you in my case, of course I do feel Spanish because, I'm not like, of course I feel Spanish. I also feel Basque. Spanish is my mother tongue, but at school we learned everything in Basque. So in that sense, I feel both ways, and that's all right. Politicians really want us to pick one side, and it's like, right now how the world works is you have to be at an extreme, right? Either you're blue or you're red, but you can't be in between. For me, I really don't appreciate that.
I mean, I ask myself as well, am I Indian because I speak Hindi, or do I speak Hindi because I'm Indian? And for me, I think I speak Hindi because I am born in a certain part of India. For me personally, Hindi and my national identity are not linked that well. If I was born, I was born in Bangalore, which is in the south of India, but I didn't grow up here. There, if I grew up in Bangalore, I would still be Indian, but I wouldn't speak Hindi that well. Maybe
Sure.
I would speak Kannada, um, which I think a lot of reason the conflicts, like we spoke about very briefly about how there is a conflict between North Indian and South Indian states, where South Indian people don't want Hindi to be imposed upon them. And there are some rare cases where if somebody talks to the South Indian people in South India in the Hindi language, they get a bit aggressive. It's not a very common, it's not all the time, but some people are a bit, like everywhere there are some extremists.
How do you feel about that, Avi? Do you think that Hindi should be imposed or at least taught at all Indian schools?
Absolutely not. I think it's like this now. If you're born near the shore, you will eat fish more because that's available more. It's easier to eat fish because it's available more.
Yeah.
But if you're born away from the sea, I mean, now because of globalization, everything is available. But if you think about in the ancient times, if you're born a bit away from the shore, you would eat the natural fruit and vegetables of that region. And I think the same thing with India. It's such a huge language. Such a huge country. I feel if you're born in a state where Hindi is spoken, it's natural you learn Hindi as your first language, right? But if you're born in the south where Hindi is not spoken that much, you should still learn the local language of that place. But learning Hindi doesn't make much sense. It would have made sense if Hindi had higher economic value, like English does. If I knew that learning Hindi would help me go to Australia and get a job there, so like that, like I know learning English makes me like a global citizen. I can go anywhere in the world and I can get a good job. That's not true for Hindi, which doesn't mean that Hindi as a language doesn't have any value. I think it's a beautiful language, and learning Hindi helped me learn German better. I don't know if people understand the link between. It's like the gym, if you're doing one exercise, it might help that muscle, might help you with other things as well. If you are doing dumbbells, it might help you carry, bags, heavy bags of, groceries as well.
Yeah.
It's like that. If you learn English or if you learn French, it helps you learn French, or if you learn Spanish, it helps you learn French a bit. If you learn English, it helps you learn Italian a bit.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Does Hindi have grammar cases like accusative and genitive?
So I think sometimes it depends. This is the thing. Hindi was given to me. I didn't learn Hindi, so when you don't think about these rules.
Yeah.
Hindi does have a lot of de, di, das. Like in German, it has a distinct article for all the things. The is like different for depending on the gender of the word.
Yeah.
I don't think Hindi has accusative and dative, which is it does not focus much about direct and indirect objects. It's something particular to German. But Hindi does place the verb in the end sometimes. So
Really?
like German does, Hindi also places the verb in the end sometimes. I think the beautiful part about Hindi is that you write exactly what you read. So, unlike in French where you don't pronounce half the things, in Hindi you exactly write what you read and read what you write.
Just like German, in a sense.
Yeah.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah, in that way. But I think one of the difficulties in conversing in German, which many Germans have also told me, is that the burden of grammar is very high. So if you're forming a long sentence in German and you're using all the genitive cases and you have the verb in the end and you used a while in the middle, so the entire structure would be so complicated that it just becomes to have a free flow of words. You need to map out everything you want to say and then you should say it.
Right.
That's the difference. But I think a lot of conflict, and this is just my uninformed opinion, would be solved if people start studying the similarities of languages or the origin of languages. Like, we spoke about a lot of words in French are also in English. Like invitation is invitation, participation is participation, all those things. Like we spoke about the word pouvoir, which is power, which is the root from which the word power comes, and in French, je peux is I can,
Correct.
and
Correct.
that is linked to if you have the power, then only then you can do things, right? And if people focused on those things, I mean, how do you think that would it be a good solution to solve the conflict in Spain if people sat down and tried to look at the similarities between Catalonian and Spanish?
I think that would be very, very strange initiative. Of course, Catalan and Spanish share a common language, which is Latin. And Catalan can completely understand us. We can almost understand 100% of what they say. There's I don't know. It's a tricky subject, Avi. For me, I do find it fascinating, the etymology and how all languages of a family tree are connected. And what very few people know is that Hindi and Urdu are part of the Indo-European family tree, just like Russian, English, Polish, Spanish, Portuguese. So we all share common words for the most basic words in order, for example, to count. Un, dos, tres. Madre, padre.
Mother, father, mom.
So we're all related.
Yeah.
We're all related.
I think it's not only about languages, it's about respecting other people's way of defining things. Because that is what language is. Language is your way of defining things. What I call ma is you call madre, What I call do, you call dos.
Same.
So it's the same concept, but the way we define it is different. And that it makes me think that that's also a reason of a lot of religious conflicts. Because at the risk of a very general statement, God in most of the religions is an omnipotent being who is watching over us, right?
All right.
Some people call him Christ or the Father of Christ. Some people call him Allah. Some people call him or her or it or whatever gender it has. Vishnu, Shiva, Krishna, which is like the Indian terms for God. But when we come to the crux of it, we're all trying to describe the same thing. It's just the way we're describing it is a bit different. And if I say that my way of describing this thing is better than your way of describing this thing, that is where the conflict starts to unfold. No?
Yeah. I mean,
of course, this is very general. Of course, there's so much more behind it that we don't even know about. But
yeah, that's why. I mean, religions are very tricky in a sense, and it's all about what religion speaks the truth more. And yeah, I'm not sure about that. Myself, I'm an atheist, and I think that religions have done a lot of good things, but also some bad things too. So.
Of course, I would say I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
That's why I'm agnostic. That's why I like Hinduism a lot. Like not the religion version of Hinduism, because now Hindu and Hinduism is more of a religion. But I think what it started off as a concept that Hindu is a way of living, because there was a group of people called Indus Valley Civilization. They're one of the oldest civilization,
Right.
and they were called Hindus, or like quite literally there was a river Indus, and the people who lived around that river were called Hindus, and I think it was a way of life. It was never meant to be a religion. When you think about it, Hinduism has so many gods,
Right.
and so many different variation of gods.
Right.
So it's never that oh, we only have one way of doing things. It's always about, there are so many different interpretation of the truth. There's not one truth, there are different forms of truth. I feel like the reason we need God as an image is it gets very tedious to express yourself through languages. At a certain point, to express complex notions, you need a lot of brain power. Like what I am saying, it might not be understood by you completely because the words I'm using might hold different meanings for you.
Sure.
But when you talk in imagery, like sometimes, if you have an older brother and he's doing very good and you're a very naughty child, your parents will say to you, why can't you be like your older brother? They don't say be less naughty or be nice. They just try to like summarize everything. Just be like your older brother, because the older brother embodies all the qualities that your parents want you to have as well. And that's why we need the image of God, because instead of saying you should be kind and benevolent and humble and giving and all the and instead of saying that, they can just say you should be more like Christ. You should be in the image of Christ. You should follow the footsteps of Christ, because it's such a big checklist of things that you have to be a good human being. That's why we sort of like take a hack and like put a pointer towards this image of God, which is why I like Hinduism, because there are so many different forms of God. There is Shiva, which we call him the destructor, who also meditates and is also calm. Like he stands for meditation also, but also destruction also. Then we have Krishna for like, I always associate him to be a charming energy. Like every time I go to a business meeting or something, I'm like, I want to be like Krishna. I want to be as charming as him and make sure that I make everybody fall in love with me. So I think I'm Hindu because I am agnostic, and I don't really get attached to one form of God. I'm not like, oh, I'm a believer of Shiva, but everything else sucks. I just believe in one God. I just feel like it's like a buffet. You can choose which depending on your mood and the day and the weather outside, you can choose which God to link yourself to. Yeah,
that's very cool. I wish we in Europe weren't that monotheistic. I think having different gods like they had in ancient Greece, it's just more interesting. It feels more real to me.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that languages also have a link to religion? Because like when Britishers came to India, or like when we have a lot of Christian missionaries coming to India, that was also their way to convert people into their religion by imposing the language.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. I mean, it was the easiest, the fastest way also for Spanish colonizers in America, right? Let me talk to you about my only true God. Only Spanish or only English is the true sacred language. You really need to learn this.
Yeah. When you think about it, it's such a unintelligent idea that an ever-present being who can understand everything and knows everything would only be able to understand you if you speak a certain language. That is like such a paradox. Because if somebody is omnipotent, like for example, when I used to pray when I was younger, I used to pray every night before I went to bed, and because I learned Hindi and English at the same time, I used to pray sometimes in English to my Hindu gods, right? And then I used to think that, will they understand English? And then I was like, of course they will understand English. They will understand all the different languages that we have created, right?
Yeah. But that's the thing that I really don't get about the story with the Tower of Babel, right? Because God did not like the fact that they spoke just one language, right? So God, no, that doesn't make any sense.
God wanted them to speak more different stuff as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, if I were a god, the more languages people spoke, the different variation of prayers I would have. So it would make sense for me to have people speak more languages. So I'm not getting bored with the prayers that I'm getting, Keep it. It's like having having different news channels. It's the same news, but you have a different way of expressing the news. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. What else?
What else?
Yeah, I just feel like we had a place in our society for learning even when school ended. It is in Europe. In Europe, people have the time to learn new skills, learn new languages. But in India, I think it's a bit difficult because there's so much to do. There's so much work to do.
It's understandable. I mean, it's a great challenge to learn a new language, and why should you when you have very limited time? And what language should you learn? Of course, you should learn English if you don't, because it's the most useful language. But after that, you can just learn any language you're interested in. I believe love is a great reason for you to learn.
You should have many different, lovers from all the parts of the world. So you learn all of the languages.
The world would be better for sure.
But what do you think with the rise of AI, which can, my dad always jokes about a device which you can just put it on your face or something.
Yeah.
You speak in your language, AI translates in real time and talks in the other person's language.
Yeah, I think the world's going to change pretty fast.
Is that for the good or for the bad?
I think it can be. Everyone's gonna use it, but I'm not in favor of it. I think that people won't have fun learning languages anymore, which is the whole reason why you would learn a language for the experience of learning it, for the sake of the experience, not just to gain that skill. I mean, it's about the process. If you don't have that process, of course, it's gonna help people communicate, but we already have English. I mean, most of the people know English. We don't have any barriers. English has done a lot of good things, but it's also done. The thing is that if we have 6,000 or 5,000 languages still alive, every year they're less and less. And with AI, I mean, it's like having an extra memory, an extra disk. You just put on all your information. You don't need to make any effort, right? You just copy paste. It's not gonna be as fun anymore. So that's why.
At the same time, it just makes things so much easier, because if I am in Barcelona and I speak Spanish or English, I can talk to the natives in their own tongue, which is Catalan, and then they would be happy. Will they be happy? Because then I'm sort of like bypassing I'm not respecting the effort it takes to acquire that language.
There you go. Yeah, I think every speaker appreciates when a foreigner makes the whole effort to speak their own language, right?
So it's only about the effort, and it's not about speaking a language. So barring English, which you need for professional things, barring one language you need for like professional things, all the other languages you want to speak, even if you make the effort of learning them without mastering them, that should be enough for the local people to be happy with it. Is that a good? So, if I go to Barcelona and I speak Spanish completely well, but I speak a bit
Catalan.
Yeah, Catalan, not fluently, but like A1, A2 level.
Yeah.
Will that be enough for the locals to be happy with me?
Yeah, of course. They will feel very proud that a guy from India is actually interested and have the curiosity to learn Catalan, for sure.
Which I think could also be a good solution. Maybe I can imagine all the companies who are hiring people in the south of India from the north. they can have like a 1 month or 2 month, once an hour every week, a course in the local language. Like it's because a lot of companies in Germany incentivize their employees to learn German, and
Sure.
they give them money for the courses,
Yeah.
or have some time during their work hours that, okay, you can use these work hours to learn the German language. I think if in India we also do that, and if you're in Bangalore, people are learning the local language there while they're working. And
Oh, really?
yeah, it's a cost for the employer, I agree. But I really feel like if people just spend 1 hour a week when the employer sponsors them to do it, that should not be too much of an issue.
No, I mean, and I just can imagine, suddenly having 1,000 people coming from India into Barcelona and speaking having short conversations in Catalan. I mean, that would be just amazing. I mean, can you
Yeah.
imagine?
I think it's like both parties have to walk 2 steps in front. Like the locals have to understand where their language stands in the hierarchy of the world, which is something we did not make. It just sort of appeared that, okay, English is at the top, then maybe now it's, I want to say Mandarin because Mandarin is really like growing. Then you can say Spanish, French, German, whatever the hierarchy is, and maybe their language is not on that economic triangle of hierarchy, or whatever you want to call it. So that they understand that, and the people going in that country and living there for work appreciates that. To respect the people around me, I have to put some effort to learn their local language.
Exactly. I mean, apart from English, Spanish, French, German in Europe, why would you learn any other language? Why would you learn I don't know, Basque, Catalan, Norwegian, Greek? Why would you do that? Just for the love of it, just for the sake of it. And I think that learning a minority language or learning a language that is just spoken in that country, like you can be a hero, a complete hero in that country if you try and make the effort to speak their language. So AI can be a solution for many things, but not for authentic connection.
True. I feel this is a very good part 2 of what we did in the morning. Like we had a part 1 in the morning where we spoke more about languages per se, and this here we like dwelled about the other things out of languages like religion, God, and all those things. So
Sure. No.
yeah, feels like a good point to like wrap things up. What do you think? Do you have any other ideas, or to like discuss something else?
Yeah. Yeah, not sure. Like, I wonder how it's even possible for a country to have that many languages like India, right? You have 1,000 languages, like you said. How is that? How do you manage that?
I mean, we have 1,000 dialects. I think it starts because India was princely states. Like before the Britishers came, before the Mughals came, everything. They were like princely states governed by different kings, right? And then slowly we had I mean, also understand that civilization is very old. Like it's one of the oldest civilization. Like people in India are one of the oldest places where people started to live and settle down. People came from the west, people came from the east. And I think somehow that sort of came into people having different dialects, different languages. It's such a diverse place. We have mountains in the north, and we have the ocean in the south. We have deserts as well in the west.
Sure.
So that factors might have played some role in that. Yeah.
For me, the most fascinating thing is the fact that like we spoke a common language just 3,000 years ago, which you might think, all right, 3,000 is a lot of time. But for me, it's really not a lot of time. In 3,000 years, we're not able to understand each other at all. And languages evolve so much. And it's just fascinating for me to see how in a relatively, India is a big country, right? But in a relatively small place, you have that much, so many languages and so much history that is about to die out if you don't do something about it, which is also very hard because people now, of course, are studying more English and
I guess it's the cost of globalization. Because if we did not have globalization, then people would only get opportunities in the land that they are limited to, and then they would speak that language. But because of globalization, people can move around a lot, and they have an option that, do I speak the local language of this country or this state, or do I focus more on, like we said, learning English or any other globalized language? I don't know if they have the exact numbers, but I do feel like because so many people can travel now and go to different places, the average number of native speakers of a language must have increased from what it was like 100 years back. So if 100 years back only 500,000 people spoke Kannada, now it should be more than that, I would say. Because so many people went to that region of the world to work and
right.
Yeah, I'm again not very informed about it. Yeah. It's I think there's a lot of things that goes behind aggression. It's not one thing. If somebody is upset that Spanish is being spoken in this part of the world, whereas they want to speak in Catalan, it's not just a language thing. There's a lot more behind it. There's a lot more notions of suppression, and there's a lot more unsatisfaction of the life perhaps that they're living. Because I would like to feel that humans at the bottom of our heart are not that intolerant. Like, oh, you don't speak my tongue, you're not good. No, I would like to believe you're not like that.
Yeah. So, for example, regarding Catalan, it's not a black and white. There's not a black and white explanation. Of course, in Spain we had a civil war and we had a dictatorship. And during the dictatorship, you could only speak Spanish. It was forbidden to speak Basque. It was forbidden to speak Gallego and Catalan and other languages. So people are still very much traumatized by that. And it is somehow very understandable that they're very protective now of their culture and of their language.
It's like a hangover from the dictatorship, because it's like they're so scared now. They feel their language should be again restricted, that they're sort of imposing, which sort of acts counterintuitively, because if you impose somebody, like how it was imposed, you can only speak Spanish. That sort of gave rise to Catalan. And I wonder if you impose you can only speak Catalan, it's gonna be backfired, and maybe people will be a bit turned off by the notion of speaking it. Because if I force you, hey, speak to me in this language only, you would be like, what the fuck, I don't want to do it. But if we talk and we just be your friends, and you use about my language, you pick up a few words because you want to, that is a better way to organically.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So I come from the Basque country, cities like Bilbao, for example, which is in the north of Spain. And there, Basque is spoken, but it's a dying language. And so after the dictatorship, the new Basque government decided, all right, how are we going to revamp this language? What can we do? And it's not mandatory in all schools, but they still haven't found a way for kids, for teenagers to speak Basque naturally. They really encourage it. Teachers are always reminding kids to please speak your language, speak speak Basque because like it's part of our heritage. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why? And that's what every teacher is wondering in the Basque country. And I believe that it's complicated, but I think that in order for a language to grow again, you need to install it in the family system. So, for example, in my case, I could speak to my sister, but my parents, they're monolingual, right? And that's the case with many other families in the Basque country. So it might take still a few generations. I absolutely don't hate that the fact that we were told to speak in Basque. I mean, I think it's very cool to. The thing with Basque, for example, is that it is its own family, language family. So, of course, there are a lot of politicians who also take advantage of that and say, oh, wow, language is like the origin of the world, or no, it doesn't have an origin. Oh, we are so special. And I think that's dangerous too. Because we're not special, of course. But we have a heritage that we need to protect. And it might take a few generations. And I'm thankful for the society to be aware of that. And we do everything we can to preserve it. It might not work just now, but I think that people will speak. I would like to think more and more Basque.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I think that was pretty interesting. That's a good note to like end things on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope all languages are preserved and everybody's happy with adoption of their language. Yeah, I think we have to do better as a society to make it easier.
Yeah, but it's tricky. It's tricky because the easiest thing is to keep learning and keep speaking in English. So should I learn Hindi and should we have this conversation in Hindi in 10 years? Or should you learn Basque?
Well, if you want to have this again in 10 years, we can do it again in 10 years in Hindi and in Basque. So I don't mind.
I mean, it would be...
that would be a good challenge. We'll record this and have a challenge and maybe see if we have like a poll of people who want to see this happen in English, Basque or Hindi. Well, this is pretty cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Yeah.